It all started the night before her wedding. Her fiancé cheated on her with her best friend. Heartbroken, Shin Yunchi went to a bar to drown her sorrows, only to catch the attention of a group of thugs. Overcome with emotions, she smashed a bottle over one of their heads, knocking him out cold. After teaching them a lesson, she ran out of the bar. But as she ran, her legs started to feel weak, and a chilling thought crossed her mind: did someone spike my drink? While trying to escape, a massive truck came barreling down the road. She couldn't dodge in time and was hit. As her vision blurred, she saw a man standing over her. His name was Hich Chang, a ruthless CEO notorious for his cold-blooded ways. Rumor had it, he poisoned his own father and drove his sister insane. Desperate, she reached out for help. But Hich Chang? He coldly stepped aside, ignoring her completely. Shin Yunchi fainted from rage and exhaustion. When she woke up, she found herself 4 years into the future, married to Hich Chang under a mysterious contract. Confused and desperate for answers, she grabbed her phone to call her best friend, only to realize she'd blocked her. What happened during these 4 years? Why would I block Yuan, of all people? Unblocking her, she called Yuan and silently prayed, "Please pick up. Please pick up." The call connected quickly. Yuan, it's me. Can we meet up? Shin Yunchi? Did you lose your mind? Didn't you swear we'd never talk again? Come on, girl. Just meet me. Same spot as always. We'll talk in person. Fine. But I want to know what game you're playing this time. After hanging up, she went to change clothes, only to freeze in front of her closet. The wardrobe was filled with outfits so gaudy that even a dog wouldn't wear them. Out of options, she grabbed one of Hich Chang's oversized t-shirts and decided to make do. After a brief wait, Shin Yunchi finally met up with her best friend, Yuan. She threw her arms around her dramatically. Yuan. I missed you so much. The sudden display of affection left Yuan uncomfortable. What do you want? Quit acting. Just say it already. Shin Yunchi pleaded, I know I was wrong before. Please don't stay mad at me. If you ignore me, I'll have no one left. Yuan studied her, torn between annoyance and a flicker of sympathy. Why does she seem so different today? After a pause, she sighed. Fine. As long as you figured it out, I won't hold a grudge. The two headed to a nearby restaurant. As they approached, Shin Yunchi noticed a man and a woman standing at the entrance. She squinted, whispering, Wait, that guy looks familiar. Yuan rolled her eyes. Are you blind? That's your husband. And the woman with him? That's Mei Qinghan, the close friend you introduced him to. Shin Yunchi's jaw dropped. Husband? Right, I'm married to Hich Chang now, but what's this about a close friend? Furious but determined, she marched over to their table, putting on a sweet smile. Hubby, enjoying a nice meal? Why didn't you invite me? Hich Chang looked up, surprised but composed. Mei Qinghan quickly chimed in, her voice smooth. Yunchi, what a coincidence running into you here. Hich Chang and I were just discussing something. Why don't we plan another time to catch up properly? Shin Yunchi's smile didn't waver. Oh, no need for that. I'm not an outsider, right? Surely there's no reason for me to wait. Mei Qinghan hesitated, visibly flustered. It's nothing serious. I just thought Hich Chang might enjoy trying this dish, so I brought him here. Without missing a beat, Shin Yunchi slid into the seat beside her husband, leaning in. Hubby, does this shirt I'm wearing look familiar? Thought I'd make myself comfortable. Hey, these are your short sleeves, aren't they? Don't I look great in them? Yunchi smirked as she tugged at her shirt playfully. Mei Qinghan's expression darkened with resentment. Shin Yunchi, you've really got a death wish. Ruining things for us like this? Just wait until Hich Chang deals with you at home. Feigning calm, Yunchi turned to her husband. Honey, what were you two chatting about so intently? Something I should know? Hich Chang replied coolly, nothing much. Just small talk. Mei Qinghan, visibly uncomfortable watching the couple's banter, abruptly stood up. Hich Chang, I've got to rush to an afternoon meeting. Since you're heading back to the office too, why don't we go together? Hich Chang leaned back and dismissed her suggestion effortlessly. I've got other things to take care of, so I'm not going back to the office. You go ahead. Realizing there was no saving face, Mei Qinghan awkwardly excused herself and left. As soon as she was gone, Yunqi leaned closer to her husband. Babe, my friend is still over at the other table. If you're still hungry, why don't we all eat together? Ignoring her invitation, Hich Chang grabbed her arm and pulled her aside. His voice was sharp. Alright, enough games. What's your real goal here? If there's something you want from me, just say it directly. No need for all these theatrics. Yunqi shook off his grip, crossing her arms with a triumphant smile. Mission accomplished. I've already gotten what I wanted. Hich Chang's gaze hardened. Don't tell me all this drama was just for Ji Yuntang. Yunqi frowned in confusion. Ji Yuntang? Who's that? That name does sound vaguely familiar, but what does it have to do with this? Hich Chang's tone grew colder. You're really willing to go this far for him, huh? Even if it means breaking the terms of our agreement. Hich Chang's smile faded as his patience waned. Look, I have my limits. You were the one who insisted on signing that agreement back then. So let me give you some advice, don't try to outsmart me. Take care of yourself. As she watched him walk away, Yunqi couldn't help but mutter in frustration. Seriously, I was just here to catch a cheater. How did this turn into me being the bad guy? Am I wrong for calling out infidelity? Her friend shrugged, chiming in lightly, who knows? Marriage stuff is messy. Outsiders like me can't keep up. While they were chatting, Mei Qinghan called. Noticing this, Yunqi asked, Yuan, was I really close with this White Lotus before? Yep. You used to be her lackey, ha ha ha, her friend replied. Hearing this, Yunqi began to doubt herself. A lackey? That doesn't match my personality at all. Answering the call, she heard Mei Qinghan ranting on the other end. You promised me. Don't go back on your word. Miss Mei, my memory's been a bit foggy lately. What exactly did I promise you? Oh, and if I really did agree to something before, I'm officially taking it back now, Yunqi said coolly. Shin Yunqi, how dare you go back on your word? Miss Mei, I can't talk right now. Hich Chang said he's taking me shopping. Yunqi cut her off and hung up before giving her a chance to reply. Yuan widened her eyes in disbelief. Girl, you're basically a human ATM for them. Even your stepmother's ridiculous demands get fulfilled. Fine, Mrs. Hua. You've clearly made a lifelong enemy out of Mei Qinghan today. What are you going to do now? Yunqi casually grabbed her and started walking. Let them come for me. I'll handle it as it comes. Now, let's hit the mall. I need some new clothes. As Yunqi sipped her coffee and scrolled through her phone, she suddenly said, by the way, this credit card you gave me, it's just a secondary card. Is the main one in Hich Chang's hands? Yuan frowned. That stingy CEO? Wouldn't be surprised. It's probably because your dear sister, Shin Yao, considering you've been your family's personal ATM for years. The comment made Yunqi pause. No wonder they had me clean out the villa for her to use. Some people really need to be taught a lesson. Yuan, what on earth happened in the past 4 years? How did I become their cash cow? This doesn't make sense with my personality. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe it's connected to the time you went missing, Yuan said thoughtfully. Missing? I was missing? Yunqi asked, confused. Yeah, right around the time you and Fu Yunze were preparing for your wedding. You disappeared for an entire year. Even the private detective I hired couldn't find a trace of you. Yunqi recalled, for years ago, I remember catching them before the wedding. Then I got into some trouble at a bar. Could that have been when I went missing? Wait, did Fu Yunze and Dong Wan'er end up together? Her friend replied, they didn't get married, just engaged. Dong Wanner seems pretty smug these days, huh? I'll have to teach those two a lesson when I get the chance. The next day, Yunchi dressed to the nines for a birthday banquet. She planned to show her dear sister a thing or two. Just as she was about to leave, Hich Chang stopped her. Yang Fingyi called me, he said. Was all that fuss yesterday just for 50 million yuan? You could have just said so, instead of going through all that trouble. Yunchi froze for a moment, feeling a little awkward. This shameless stepmother, really? She even tracked me down in person. Feigning nonchalance, Yunchi replied, "Oh, sorry. If you didn't give her the money yet, don't bother. I'll handle it from now on." Hich Chang frowned, deep in thought. Yang Fingyi had asked for money plenty of times, but Yunchi's reaction was different this time. Are you sure you can handle it? Absolutely. If she causes trouble, just have security throw her out. No need to consider my feelings. Hich Chang raised an eyebrow. And where are you heading so late? Just handling some things. Don't worry, it won't involve you. He scoffed, crossing his arms. As if I care what you're up to. You don't need to report to me. Meanwhile, a girl was hosting her birthday party at the villa, showing off to her friends and bragging that it was her house. Little did she know, the real owner of the villa was already there. When Xinyao arrived, she spotted Yunchi lounging and sipping coffee like she owned the place. Who's that? One of the party guests asked, confused. Oh, her? Xinyao replied with a sly smile. That's just the housekeeper I hired to clean. Guess she didn't get the memo to stay out of sight. When Yunchi heard someone gossiping about her, she turned her head, narrowing her eyes at Xinyao. Let's see how smug you are now. The glance startling a boy nearby. Yao Yao, what's her deal? Why is this housekeeper acting like she owns the place? How could you even pick someone like her? One of Xinyao's friends whispered, their tone dripping with disdain. Xinyao's face burned with embarrassment. She stomped over, yelling, Who told you to sit here? Go prepare us some refreshments right now. You're such an eyesore. Just wait, I'll deal with you later. Yunchi, calm as ever, casually sipped her coffee before responding, and what if I say no? Xinyao's eyes flared. Did you just talk back to me? You're just a lowly servant. How dare you? Before Yunchi could reply, two people walked in through the door. One of them introduced himself, I'm the property manager for this community. We received a report about unauthorized activity. May I ask, who here is the homeowner? Xinyao tried to keep her composure, snapping, I'm just hosting a small gathering in my own home. Is that a crime? Now leave immediately. The property manager's expression didn't waver. Apologies, ma'am, but this house belongs to Mr. Hich Chang. Can you clarify your relationship with Mr. Hua? Xinyao's confidence faltered. She raised her voice, trying to mask her unease. Who even called you here? At that moment, Yunchi stepped forward. I did, she said with a faint smile. Also, let's not gloss over the fact that you've been trashing my husband's house. Yunchi's tone turned sharp. I'm willing to let this slide, but the wine? That's from my husband's private collection. Someone's going to have to pay for the damage. Xinyao crossed her arms and sneered, fine. I'll pay. You think I can't afford it? Great, Yunchi replied, raising an eyebrow. Just so you know, those bottles go for 200,000 yuan each, and a few are worth 500,000 yuan. Altogether, you owe about 5 million. So, let's see that money. Xinyao froze, her arrogance evaporating. She stammered for a moment before dramatically dropping to the floor, feigning unconsciousness. Her friends, horrified, quickly backed away. One of them muttered, we're not that close with Xinyao anyway. We should probably get going. And with that, they fled the scene, leaving Xinyao to deal with the fallout alone. The security guard glanced at Xinyao, still playing dead, and helplessly turned to Mrs. Hua. What should we do about her? Yunchi shrugged nonchalantly. Let her lie there if she wants. Now, bring me the dinner I ordered. I'll just sit here, enjoy my meal, and wait to see how long she keeps this up. As Xinyao continued her act, Yunqi casually dined on seafood next to her, unbothered. Back home, reflecting on the earlier chaos, Yunqi couldn't help but chuckle to herself. I really thought Xinyao was tougher. Turns out she's such a lightweight, she couldn't even last 5 minutes. However, Yunqi's smug moment was interrupted by a sudden wave of dizziness. She decided to grab some water, but froze when she saw Hich Chang coming down the stairs. You went to the Golden Bay Villa? He asked. Yunqi replied indifferently, that's your property, after all. Xinyao had no business barging in uninvited. She deserved a lesson. Hich Chang's tone carried confusion. You went to handle Xinyao? Weren't you always the one going along with whatever she said? It's nothing, Yunqi replied, brushing it off. I'll head upstairs first. But Hich Chang noticed something was off. Are you okay? Not feeling well? He asked, pulling her close to check on her. Startled, Yunqi quickly dodged, standing up straight. I'm totally fine. Super healthy, she insisted, though her flushed face said otherwise. You're burning up, he noted, placing a hand on her forehead. His concern turned into action. All right, that's it. I'll carry you back to your room to rest. Flustered, Yunqi protested, her cheeks growing redder. What are you doing? Let go of me. You probably ate something you're allergic to and now you've got a fever, he said firmly, carrying her upstairs. Yunqi couldn't help but think, having someone like him in moments like this isn't so bad. But her thoughts were interrupted when Hich Chang asked, what's on your mind? Are you feeling worse? Just get me to the room. Then call the doctor, Yunqi muttered, avoiding his gaze. Moments later, Hich Chang's private doctor arrived. After a quick check, he confirmed it's a seafood allergy that caused the reaction. Good thing it was caught early. Just rest for a few days, and you'll be fine. Yunqi sighed in relief, her initial embarrassment melting into gratitude. What kind of idiot eats seafood? Hich Chang snapped angrily. Are you scolding me now? Anyway, I'm not allergic to seafood. I've never been allergic. Yunqi retorted sharply, glaring at Hich Chang. But Hich Chang didn't want to stop, so what's going on now? The two quickly started bickering, their voices growing louder. The doctor, sensing the tension, stepped back awkwardly and said, well, since the young madam is fine now, I'll take my leave. Don't want to intrude on your private time. After the doctor left, Hich Chang let out a long, weary sigh. Fine. You're sick, so I won't argue with you. Yunqi pouted, lost in thought. Does he know? She wondered. Does he realize that the me standing here is actually the me from 4 years ago? But, how am I supposed to bring that up? Would he even believe me? Hich Chang watched her silently, frustration bubbling up. She's ignoring me again, he thought bitterly. She really can't stand being around me, can she? I was just worried about her, how is that a crime? Fine, if you don't want me here, I'll leave. Without another word, he stomped out, slamming the door behind him. Yunqi stared at the closed door, completely bewildered. What the heck? He gets mad so easily. Later, Yunqi was jolted out of her thoughts by an unexpected visit. A woman strutted into the room, her expression smug. Yunqi, I came to see you, the visitor announced. Yunqi's mood instantly soured. She stood up and replied coldly, your concern isn't necessary, Miss May. If you've got something to say it. Otherwise, I'll be heading back to rest. Oh, I do have something to say, Mei Qinghan smiled sweetly, though her words dripped with venom. That argument we had over the phone the other day? I didn't mean it. Actually, I should thank you for turning a blind eye to my time with Hich Chang. Yunqi's expression darkened, but Mei Qinghan continued, unbothered. You were just upset, right? All those things you said, you didn't really mean them, did you? You're such a reasonable person, Yunqi. I knew you'd come around and apologize eventually. Apologize? Yunqi raised an eyebrow. Mei Qinghan smirked. More or less. Since you're being so gracious, I'll accept it. By the way, I need a favor. There's a movie premiere in a couple of days, and I'd like you to help me get Hich Chang to attend. I'll wait for him at the event. Can you do that for me? Haha, trying to take my husband to a movie? Sure, but whether he agrees is another matter, Yoonchi said ironically. Oh, he will, Mei Ching-han replied confidently. If you ask him, he'll definitely go. Yoonchi raised an eyebrow. Why would he listen to me? Mei Ching-han shrugged dismissively. You don't need to overthink it. Just follow my instructions, okay? Fine, I'll try. You're lucky I'm helping you, Yoonchi muttered sarcastically. I knew you'd come through for me, just like you always do, Mei Ching-han replied with a sugary smile. Anyway, rest up, I won't bother you anymore. As Mei Ching-han left, Yoonchi watched her with narrowed eyes. Let's see what role you've been playing in my life these past 4 years, while I've lost my memories. That evening, Yoonchi saw Hich Chang returning home. She approached him and brought up the day's events. Mei Ching-han came to see me today. She wants you to go meet her, Yoonchi said casually, watching for his reaction. Hich Chang raised an eyebrow. Do you want me to go? Yoonchi crossed her arms. If I said yes, would you? Of course. Whatever you want, he replied firmly. Yoonchi frowned slightly, confusion flickering across her face. Do you like her? The question barely left her mouth before Hich Chang pushed her against the wall, his expression intense. You think I like her? Flustered, Yoonchi snapped back, I don't think that. But if you don't, then just don't go. Now, let me go. Alright, Hich Chang teased, leaning closer. But here's the deal, there's a banquet coming up in a few days. If you agree to attend with me, I'll let you go. Fine. Whatever you want, just let me go. Yoonchi exclaimed, frantically nodding. Satisfied, Hich Chang stepped back, and Yoonchi bolted to her room, her cheeks flushed. He stood there for a moment, watching her retreat, baffled. She really is different from before. Later, at the grand banquet, Yoonchi made an appearance in an elegant gown, catching the attention of everyone in the room. However, just as she started making her way toward Hich Chang, she accidentally bumped into a stranger. Oh, I'm so sorry about that, she said politely. The man smiled. Yoonchi, why are you being so formal? You used to call me Yuntang. Hearing his words, Yoonchi froze. So this is Ji Yuntang, she realized. From across the room, Hich Chang observed the interaction, his expression darkening as he watched their every move. The man casually wrapped his arm around Yoonchi's waist, reminiscing about their supposed closeness in the past. However, Yoonchi, who had no memory of him after crossing over, quickly shrugged him off and stepped back. Who does this guy think he is, she thought, irritated. At a Hua family banquet, no less. If my husband sees this, it'll be such a mess. Ji Yuntang paused at her reaction, clearly thrown off. You used to enjoy this, he said, feigning a laugh. But you're right, this isn't the best place for it. I'll contact you later tonight. He's bold, I'll give him that, Yoonchi thought, replying with a curt, fine, before walking away. Crossing over into this life is such a headache. First a scheming stepmother, now this clingy Ji Yuntang. I can't catch a break. Meanwhile, Hich Chang, watching from a distance, gripped his glass tightly, his anger barely contained. She says she's not involved with him, but look at them. As Yoonchi walked off, still fuming over Ji Yuntang, she was abruptly bumped into by a young girl. Oh. I'm sorry, the girl stammered, looking flustered. Wait, are you Hich Chang's sister, Hua Baoyan? Before Baoyan could respond, an older woman rushed over, shouting, someone grab this little brat. She broke my bracelet. The girl looked up, tears welling in her eyes. I didn't do it, she protested. Yoonchi glanced between them, quickly piecing things together. This must be Huang Ying, Hich Chang's stepmother. Looks like Baoyan's had to deal with her nonsense for a while. Yoonchi stepped forward, her tone calm but sharp. You're accusing her? Do you have proof she broke your bracelet? The older woman snapped back, her tone sharp. Proof? Shin Yoonchi, when did you get the nerve to meddle in my business? Before Yoonchi could reply, Hich Chang strode over, his voice cold as he demanded, "What's going on here?" "This poor girl is being wrongly accused by her stepmother," Yunqi said, unbothered by the woman's glare. Huang Ying pointed at Bao Yan and scoffed, "She shattered my bracelet and then ran off. I'm taking her home right now." Yunqi didn't back down. "You're saying she broke it? Do you have proof?" Huang Ying rolled her eyes. "Why do you even care? Don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong." As the tension escalated, Hich Chang's calm but firm voice cut through. "If you're so certain Bao Yan broke it, let's check the security footage." Huang Ying froze, her confidence faltering. "There's no need for that. With so many people here, do you really want to make a scene? I know what I saw." Yunqi crossed her arms, unrelenting. "If you're unwilling to check, then why should we just take your word for it? Accusations need evidence. Or do you expect us to believe everything you say blindly?" Huang Ying's face turned red with frustration. "She's not my biological child, true, but I've raised her since she was little. Why would I wrongfully accuse her?" Before the argument could escalate further, Hich Chang shouted, "Enough. Aunt Huang, that's enough. Bao Yan's coming home with me tonight. I'll handle things with my father." Without another word, he took Bao Yan's hand and started walking away, motioning for Yunqi to follow. Huang Ying stood there fuming, unable to say a word as the three of them left. Later that evening, Yunqi was lounging on the couch, playing with Bao Yan, when her phone buzzed. Opening the message, she saw it was from Ji Yuntang, "Meet me at the usual spot tomorrow afternoon." Yunqi frowned, lost in thought. How has Hich Chang tolerated this guy all these years, she wondered. Does he really not care if I meet with other men? "Sis Yunqi, I'm feeling sleepy," Bao Yan said with a yawn, pulling her back to the present. "Alright, let's get you to bed," Yunqi said with a smile, putting her phone down. "Your room's next to mine. If you can't sleep, just come find me, and we can chat." While bringing Bao Yan back to her room, Yunqi was still distracted by the message from Ji Yuntang. What's he scheming now? After Yunqi left, her phone started buzzing again. Hich Chang noticed, and his face darkened instantly. Later that night, Yunqi had no choice but to sleep in Hich Chang's room to avoid Bao Yan discovering they weren't sharing a bedroom. This is so awkward, Yunqi thought, glancing over, only to freeze when she caught sight of Hich Chang changing clothes. She couldn't help but admire his figure. "If he were my boyfriend, I'd definitely want to touch." Her thoughts were cut off when Hich Chang suddenly walked over, standing right in front of her. "Like what you see?" he asked with a smirk. "So, who's in better shape, me or Ji Yuntang?" Flustered, Yunqi stammered, "Why are you bringing him up? This has nothing to do with Ji Yuntang. Don't get the wrong idea, I only came in here to keep Bao Yan from suspecting anything." "Oh really?" Hich Chang teased. "And here I thought you were finally stepping up as my wife tonight." He couldn't help but think to himself, she's never acted like this before, how unexpectedly cute. Yunqi's cheeks burned at his words. "Your wife?" she stammered. "Wait, we're legally married. So does that mean, all these years, I've technically had the right to do whatever I wanted with him?" One moment, Yunqi was trying to maintain her composure, the next, she impulsively threw herself at him. "What am I doing?" she gasped, realizing she'd pinned him down in a burst of emotion. She tried to retreat, but Hich Chang wasn't about to let her go. "Have I been too easy on you lately?" he murmured, his voice low and teasing. "Let's settle things properly tonight." "Wait, you can't just," Yunqi protested, but her words were cut off as Hich Chang leaned closer. "You've been handling everyone else so confidently these past couple of days. Messaging Ji Yuntang must have been fun, right?" he quipped, his eyes sharp. "So why so quiet now?" Caught in the heated atmosphere, Yunqi stammered, I'll handle it tomorrow. I swear." But the room fell silent before she could say anything more. The next afternoon, Yunqi arrived at the arranged meeting spot. Before coming, she'd done her homework, gathering information about Ji Yuntang from Yuan Yuan. "So, he's actually my college senior," she mused. "For years ago, when I lost my memory, he manipulated me, and used me to profit from Hich Chang. What's his game now? Yunqi, why don't you have Hich Chang hand over the development rights for this land to me? Ji Yuntang said, a sly smile on his face. And why would you think Hich Chang listens to everything I say? Yunqi countered coldly. Because he owes you, Ji Yuntang replied confidently. Yunqi raised an eyebrow, trying to dig for more information. Oh? And what exactly does he owe me? Don't play dumb with me, Ji Yuntang snapped, his tone turning impatient. Are you trying to back out of helping me? You're absolutely right, Yunqi shot back, her voice sharp. I don't want to help you. Got a problem with that? Ji Yuntang's smile twisted into something darker. Have you forgotten about the photos I have? Don't push me, Yunqi. I'm not bluffing. If you don't cooperate, I'll release them. Yunqi crossed her arms, unfazed. Oh, you mean those photos? Go ahead, post them. Let's see what happens. Ji Yuntang's expression faltered for a moment, then hardened. You think I won't? Don't make me prove you wrong. You know I'm serious. Just then, Hich Chang appeared from behind, his voice dripping with sarcasm. If you're so confident, then why not just release them already? Ji Yuntang laughed bitterly. Wow, a united front. Husband and wife teaming up, huh? Fine, since we're at an impasse, I'll make sure this gets settled my way. He pulled out his phone, dialing his assistant. Hey, send the photos from this special folder on my computer. Post them on all the major platforms, whichever ones get the most traffic. The assistant hesitated. Are you sure about this? Do it, Ji Yuntang barked. Let's make the Hua family a trending topic. This time, Mrs. Hua's scandal will be everywhere. Yunqi tensed, but quickly pulled out her own phone. When the notification popped up, she took one look and couldn't help but laugh. These are the photos you're so proud of? Ji Yuntang, it's not too late to backtrack. If you beg me, I might consider letting this go. He sneered. Beg you? Not a chance. If you don't do what I want, I'll ruin you. But Yunqi simply smiled. Delete them? Oh, no need. These pictures are so memorable. I think the world deserves to see them in all their glory. What Ji Yuntang didn't realize was that Yunqi had already bribed his assistant to turn the tables. Instead of posting compromising photos of Yunqi, Ji Yuntang's assistant uploaded pictures that exposed his shady dealings. A notification pinged on Ji Yuntang's phone, and his expression turned to panic. What? You set me up. Yunqi dialed her phone with a smirk. Hello, 911? I'd like to report a creep threatening to share explicit photos. His name? Ji Yuntang. I'll be waiting for your officers. Ji Yuntang glared at her as he was dragged away. You haven't seen the last of me, Yunqi. I'll get my revenge. Sure, Ji Yuntang, Yunqi called after him. Anytime you're ready for round 2, let me know. After dealing with Ji Yuntang, Yunqi and Hich Chang walked one after the other down the street. Suddenly, Hich Chang's phone started ringing loudly. He picked up, and a woman's voice came through the line. Hich Chang, where are you? Weren't you supposed to come to my premiere today? Hearing that it was Mei Qinghan, Yunqi couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy. She huffed, what a player. Didn't you say you wasn't into her? Why is you even answering her call? Ugh, am I keeping you from attending some big deal actress's premiere? If you want to go, just go. Don't let me ruin your plans. Hich Chang noticed her jealousy immediately and grabbed her hand. I told you, if you don't want me to go, I won't. Don't start with this act. Meanwhile, back at the premiere, Mei Qinghan was surrounded by reporters. Miss Mei, one asked, wasn't Mr. Hua supposed to be here today? Why is he absent? She forced a smile and replied, he mentioned a last-minute, important meeting. I understand, of course. But the reporters didn't let up. Just 10 minutes ago, someone photographed Mr. Hua with another woman. They seemed very close. Is she his new love interest? Mei Qinghan froze at the question, looking visibly uncomfortable. Her assistant quickly stepped in to cut the press conference short. Alright, everyone, that's all for today. Thank you for coming. Later that evening, Hich Chang and Yunqi returned to their villa. You stopped me from going to Mei Qinghan's premiere today just to humiliate her, didn't you? Hich Chang asked. Yunqi shot back, and what if I did? Everyone's saying she's your soulmate. What, are you upset that I made her look bad? Hich Chang slammed his hand on the table, standing abruptly. Yunqi, did you forget what's written in our agreement? The tension between them was thick when, right then, Mei Qinghan's name popped up on Hich Chang's phone again. He picked up, his tone cold and impatient. What is it? Hich Chang, she began tentatively, did Yunqi tell you about my premiere today? I really wanted you to come. She told me, he replied flatly. Why? Then why didn't you come? Mei Qinghan asked, her voice laced with hurt. Hich Chang snapped back, just because you say jump, I have to ask how high? With that, he ended the call abruptly and turned to Yunqi. Next time, if you want something, just say it. No need for all this roundabout nonsense. Yunqi, recalling how she'd outsmarted him the day before, muttered softly, okay. My bad. Later, while Hich Chang was in the shower, Yunqi couldn't stop thinking about the agreement he'd mentioned. If she wanted answers, she'd have to find it herself. She sneaked into the study and started rummaging through his desk. Suddenly, Hich Chang's voice rang out behind her. Mrs. Hua, didn't you promise me, half an hour ago, to just tell me what you want? So, what's this sneaky behavior? Caught red-handed, Yunqi stammered, well. I was just curious about the agreement. How come there's only a year left? Can't handle it anymore? Hich Chang raised a brow. Oh? And what's that supposed to mean? It's not that, she protested quickly. I was just thinking, maybe we could change things up. You've helped me a lot, so maybe I could help you too. What do you think? You scratch my back, I scratch yours? That, he replied, leaning in with a smirk, depends entirely on your performance. Yunqi blinked, confused. Performance? What do you mean by that? Before she could finish, Hich Chang kissed her suddenly and passionately, catching her completely off guard. She struggled to respond, flustered. Hich Chang. Let me go. Why, he teased, not letting up. Weren't you just saying you wanted to help me? Regretting it now? Her cheeks flushed red as she mumbled, no. I don't regret it. Satisfied with her answer, Hich Chang pushed her against the desk, pinning her in place with one large hand. Then tell me, why do you want to help me? I know I've been immature and caused you trouble before, Yunqi admitted, her voice softening. I've upset you, and I've given others the chance to drive a wedge between us. I want to make things right. His lips curved into a mischievous grin as he suddenly scooped her up into his arms. Oh? You don't want me to be unhappy? Then do something to make me happy. Blushing furiously, Yunqi hesitated before asking, can you at least tell me where the agreement is? Hich Chang chuckled, his tone playful. Little troublemaker, your focus is all over the place. The next morning, the housekeeper called out from downstairs, Sir, ma'am, Mr. Shen is here. Hearing this, Yunqi quickly pushed Hich Chang away and ran downstairs. Dad. What brings you here so early? She asked, slipping into a playful tone to butter him up. Yao, that child's been spoiled since she was little. You're her older sister, don't stoop to her level, her father said. Yunqi paused, her smile stiffening slightly. So he's here to speak up for Xinyao again? Figures. Memories of her childhood flooded back, her dad had always told her to let things slide for Yao. His constant indulgence had only emboldened Xinyao and her mother, Yang Fingyi. This time, Yao was wrong, her dad continued. Yang auntie has promised she'll make her apologize. Can you find time to come home for a visit soon? Yunqi sighed inwardly. Since her father had gone this far, she couldn't push back too hard. Alright, fine. I'll give her a chance. Relieved, her father smiled. Good. That settles it. I'll go let young auntie know. After he left, Hich Chang stepped closer, watching Yunchi with a smirk. If you don't want to go, just say the word. I'll take care of it for you. Of course I'm going, Yunchi replied confidently. They've set the stage for this drama, I wouldn't miss it. Besides, I'll need your help. Hich Chang raised a brow. Help? With what? There's no way Yongfengyi will apologize to me. I'm just curious to see what stunt they're planning. But don't worry, I've got dirt on Xinyao. They won't dare push me too far. As Yunchi spoke, Hich Chang suddenly winced, pressing a hand to his temple. Alarmed, Yunchi rushed to him. What's wrong? Are you okay? It's just an old issue. Don't worry about it, he said, leaning his head back, but before he could finish, his eyes closed, and he slumped over. Hich Chang's sudden collapse startled Yunchi, and a family doctor was called. The doctor reassured her, don't worry, ma'am. This happens occasionally. A quick injection and some rest will help. What's wrong with him, exactly? Yunchi asked, still shaken. The doctor hesitated. That's personal. You'll need to ask him once he wakes up. But please, take good care of him. He's been through a lot. Hua Baoyan was worried when she saw Hich Chang like that. Sister-in-law, is my brother unwell again? Yunchi froze at the question. He's fine, Yunchi reassured her. The doctor chimed in, just take good care of him, and he'll recover faster. Yunchi, trying to lighten the mood, added, don't worry, I'll look after him. Tomorrow, how about we go shopping together when you're free? After the doctor escorted Hua Baoyan out, Yunchi sank into her thoughts. That rumor about the Hua family, that no one lives past 30, could it be true? The more she pondered, the heavier her eyelids felt. Feeling tired, she crawled into bed and drifted off to sleep. About 10 minutes later, Hich Chang stirred and found Yunchi sound asleep. Watching her peaceful face, a tender smile spread across his own. In her sleep, Yunchi unconsciously reached out, brushing against something, mumbling, you better not be hurt. Hearing her murmurs, Hich Chang felt deeply touched. The next day, Yunchi took her younger sister out for some shopping. As they walked, her sister, Bao Yan, suddenly asked with a worried expression, Sister-in-law, are you and my brother having problems? If he's mistreating you, just tell me. Yunchi blinked, caught off guard. What? No way. Your brother and I are doing just fine. Then why, Bao Yan pressed, did I hear him bullying you in the study the other day? You were screaming so miserably. Yunchi's face flushed with embarrassment. Oh no, it's not what you think. Let me explain. Before she could finish, a familiar couple strolled toward them. The sight of them instantly set Yunchi on edge. It was those two, the infamous duo from years ago, who had betrayed her. Yunchi clenched her fists in anger. Talk about bad luck. How do I keep running into these people? She turned to her sister with a bitter smile. Let's go. We don't need to waste time around people like them. But the woman in the couple, not one to let things slide, called out mockingly, oh, Yunchi, how could you say that? If it weren't for you, we wouldn't even be together. Yunchi sneered coldly. Turning to her sister, she said loud enough for the couple to hear, next time, let's avoid this mall. They clearly let anyone in these days. It's like they don't even check for pests anymore. The jerk wasn't about to back down after being insulted. He turned to Yunchi and unleashed his fury. You think marrying Hich Chang makes you special? Please, he doesn't even care about you. You're nothing but a plaything to him. And this kid here? She's like a dumb little pet that needs constant babysitting. Warner, clearly uncomfortable with his crude remarks, stepped in to defuse the situation. Yunchi, don't take him seriously, okay? He just has a bad temper. You two enjoy your shopping, we'll be on our way now. She tried to pull her boyfriend away, but Yunchi wasn't about to let them leave so easily. You want to leave? Fine. But first, apologize to my sister. Yunchi blocked their path. When he saw his girlfriend getting bullied, the guy quickly stepped in to help, only to get slapped by Yunchi. You dare put your hands on me? Are you trying to get yourself killed? He barked, trying to sound intimidating. Yunchi, unfazed, tightened her grip and glared at him. Apologize. Now. Did you think picking on my sister was fun? Say you're sorry. The guy, who had been full of bravado just seconds ago, panicked when she grabbed him by the collar. Warner, desperate to de-escalate the situation, tried to intervene. Yunchi, stalking us is one thing, but are you really doing all this because you're bitter? You said you'd support our relationship back then, what's this about? Yunchi let out a dry laugh, her anger bubbling over. Stalking? Bitter? Dong Warner, have you lost your mind? Why would I waste my time stalking you? Meanwhile, the guy seemed to have a twisted reaction to being manhandled. He stared at Yunchi with a dazed, almost eager expression. You know, he stammered, even though we're over, if you're still this passionate about me, maybe we could try being friends. Yunchi froze for a second, utterly disgusted. What is wrong with you? Are you some kind of masochist? I wouldn't be caught dead being friends with someone like you. Now, apologize to my sister, or I'll call off the collaboration between the Hua and Fu families right now. The guy snorted, trying to sound unimpressed. You think you're all powerful, huh? What makes you think you have that kind of pull? Yunchi's lips curled into a cold smile as she pulled out her phone. Let's find out, shall we? Without another word, she dialed Hich Chang. Hey, Hich Chang, if I asked the Hua family to cancel our collaboration with the Fu family, would you agree? Hich Chang didn't even pause to think. Of course, he replied. Hearing his response, the couple across from her panicked. They scrambled to apologize, tripping over their words. Yunchi, don't be mad, okay? You know how he is, it's just his personality. I'm so sorry on his behalf. We'll be leaving now, we've got other plans. Yunchi watched them retreat, her expression icy. In her mind, she couldn't help but think, birds of a feather, frogs with toads, yeah, you two make the perfect pair. Flexible and shameless. Bao Yan looked up at Yunchi, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Sis, you were amazing just now. You were so cool, I want to be just like you someday. I won't let anyone push me around anymore. And as long as you're here, I know I'll be safe. Later that evening, the two returned home, laughing and chatting. When they walked in, they found Hich Chang sitting on the couch, casually flipping through a book. Yunchi thought to herself, wow, he's healed up so quickly. Bao Yan dashed over at the sight of him, grabbing Hich Chang's hand with one of her own and Yunchi's with the other. Big bro. Sis-in-law. I had so much fun with her today. Next time, can the three of us go out together? As Yunchi reached out to place her hand on Hich Chang's, her mind was suddenly flooded with memories of their, less innocent moments. Her cheeks flushed bright red, and she quickly pulled her hand back, leaving the two of them momentarily stunned. I think my mouth feels a little hot, she stammered, clearly flustered. Hich Chang smirked, clearly enjoying her embarrassment. Bao Yan, Yunchi quickly said, trying to recover, you must be tired. I'll take you to bed now. Out in public, she was a fierce, commanding presence. At home, she turned into a sweet, gentle wife. After Bao Yan entered the room, Hich Chang seemed to switch gears entirely. He closed in on Yunchi with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Don't get so close to me, she said, backing up. Why not, Mrs. Hua, he teased, leaning in even further. Is your little mouth starting to feel hot again? Yunchi was furious and embarrassed from being teased. She grabbed his arm and chomped down lightly, making Hich Chang burst into laughter. Yunchi looked at him, puzzled. What are you laughing at? She asked. Just thinking about how you're usually all icy and untouchable, but now you've completely changed. What? I've always been like this, she shot back, huffing. And don't think you're getting away with bullying me. That's why I bit you. The next day, Yunchi's dad, Shin Xiong, looked at her suspiciously and asked, did a mosquito bite your neck? Her face turned bright red. That dog, Hich Chang, gave me a hickey, she thought angrily. She tried to deflect. Oh, that's not important. So, why did you call me back here? Before her dad could answer, her mom, Yang Fingy, scolded Xinyao. Yao Yao, apologize to your sister right now for all the trouble you caused last time. Xinyao folded her arms, pouting. I won't. Do it, her mom snapped. Seeing her mother's stern face, Xinyao reluctantly muttered, I'm sorry. Yunqi raised an eyebrow. Yao Yao spoiled beyond belief. Her dad tried to smooth things over. She apologized, didn't she? Can't you let it go? You're sisters, after all. Yeah, sure, sisters. And as your daughter, who's ever had my back? Just because I married Hich Chang doesn't mean I'm your personal ATM. Her father scratched his head awkwardly. Yunqi, we're family. Why talk like that? Yang Fingy chimed in quickly, exactly. We're all family here. By the way, our family's beauty salon is opening soon. Your dad wants you and Hich Chang to come and help boost the event. Yunqi narrowed her eyes, instantly catching on. Ah, so that's why they wanted me here. They need something from me. She was utterly disgusted. Is it our family salon? How much of it do I own? If you want me to let bygones be bygones, then give me half the shares. Yang Fingy's fake smile faltered, but she nodded. Sure. She hurriedly pulled out a share transfer agreement and handed it over. Now that we're done here, I'll be leaving. Yunqi turned on her heel and left without looking back. As soon as she was gone, Xinyao let loose on her mom. Did you see that idiot strutting around like she's all that? Who does she think she is? You're so short-sighted, you'll never be able to achieve anything big. As long as the Hua family supports us, business opportunities will keep rolling in. Her mother said, exasperated. You need to think long-term. When Yunqi arrived at Hich Chang's office, he was in the process of cutting ties with his wife's ex-boyfriend's company. I've reviewed your company's proposal, he told them calmly. There are several issues that need fixing. That's all for today. The other party, trying to recover, asked with a sly grin, Hich Chang, is this because Shin Yunqi is my ex-girlfriend? Hich Chang's expression hardened as he stood up. Are you saying Yunqi is your ex? Absolutely. You probably don't know this, but we had a thing back in school. She's been desperate for me to take her back ever since. Has she been badmouthing me to you? Hich Chang's eyes darkened. President Fu, if that's your take on things, then I see no point in continuing this partnership. The ex-boyfriend, realizing the deal had fallen apart, lost his cool. Shin Yunqi. I know you're still bitter, but do you have to go this far? Don't make this about yourself. You couldn't even hold a candle to me back then, and you're nothing now. Just wait and see, let's find out who'll come out on top. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Hich Chang raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. Why were we even considering doing business with someone like that? It was a waste of time, Yunqi agreed, rolling her eyes. He's got some wild fantasies about himself. Did you hear him? He's clearly a scumbag who loves playing the victim. Hich Chang studied her face carefully, his gaze icy. Do you have any past grievances with him? Not really. You just heard everything. The guy's delusional and gross, she said, shuddering at the thought. After a pause, Hich Chang sighed. Yunqi, I trust you, but I hope you'll trust me too. If anything ever happens, don't keep it from me. She crossed her arms, raising an eyebrow. Fair enough. Speaking of which, my dad and that woman are having a grand opening for their beauty salon soon. Come with me to check it out. It'll be interesting, at the very least. A few days later, the beauty salon officially opened. Yang Fingy was busy hosting a lavish event in the banquet hall, entertaining influential guests. Everyone was eating, drinking, and having a great time when Shin Yunqi and Hich Chang walked in from a distance. The moment Yang Fingy spotted them, she put on a bright smile and made her way over. Oh, you two finally decided to grace us with your presence, she exclaimed. Yunqi, unimpressed, sidestepped her approach, leaving Yang Fingy awkwardly standing there. Hich Chang, Yunqi, Yang Fingy quickly recovered, her tone overly cheerful. Why don't you let me take you around and introduce my amazing son-in-law to everyone? Yunchi immediately caught on to her ulterior motive. With a polite smile, she replied, "There's no need for that. Everyone here already knows Hich Chang." Yang Fengyi continued to flatter, "In fact, many of my friends admire him and have been eager to meet him. Having him here today is already a big boost for the salon." Hich Chang nodded coolly. "You flatter us too much. We're just here to accompany Yunchi for a quick visit." Yunchi chimed in, "I've been swamped with work lately and have other matters to attend to. We can only stay for 10 minutes. Yang Fengyi's expression didn't falter, though annoyance flickered in her eyes. "I'm just happy you could make it," she said with feigned warmth, but her thoughts betrayed her. "Oh, sure, you're busy, who do you think you're fooling? Enjoy your little victory for now. Let's see who's laughing in the end." Determined to get back at her stepmother, Yunchi decided to turn the tables. "I've heard the salon's been doing quite well recently," she remarked casually. "Hich Chang and I contributed a lot during the promotion phase. Shouldn't that entitle me to a bigger share of the profits?" Yang Fengyi's smile froze. "Now, Yunchi, let's not be greedy. You already took half last time." Yunchi wasn't fazed. "Young auntie, that's not quite accurate. What I took before was my rightful share. This time, I'm asking for a portion of my father's holdings. After all, when I married Hich Chang, I didn't take anything from the family. It's only fair I get a share now, don't you think?" Her father looked visibly conflicted but eventually sighed, guilt written all over his face. "She's right. Yunchi deserves her share." Yang Fengyi's temper flared instantly. "Shin Xiong. Do you think the beauty salon belongs to you alone?" she snapped. "Yunchi's married now," she continued, her voice dripping with frustration. "If you divide things this way, how am I and Yaya supposed to survive? Just drink the northwest wind?" Yunchi raised an eyebrow, her tone calm yet pointed. "Young auntie, why are you treating me like an outsider again? That's not what you said when you invited Hich Chang and me to the grand opening. Dad, don't you think her schemes are a bit much? Honestly, you might as well draft your will now to prevent her and her daughter from draining you dry later." "Xing Yunchi, how dare you make such baseless accusations?" Yang Fengyi hissed. "All right, enough. Stop fighting," Shin Xiong finally interjected, sighing deeply. "Yunchi's right. Over the years, I've failed her in many ways. I'm willing to give her my share." Yunchi's smile softened, but her eyes glimmered with triumph. "I always knew you cared about me, Dad," she said sweetly. Then, pulling out some paperwork, she added, "This document has already been notarized. All you need to do is write down the shares you're giving me and sign." Not missing a beat, Yunchi turned to Hich Chang with a subtle smirk. "Oh, and hubby, the more shares Dad gives me, the more resources the Hua family will invest, right?" Hich Chang, who had been silently observing, nodded absent-mindedly. "Yeah, that's right," he confirmed, though his tone betrayed his confusion. Meanwhile, Yang Fengyi's face twisted in fury, as if she might explode on the spot. "Since everything's settled, we'll be heading out now," Yunchi concluded coolly. "Call me if there's anything else." Once back at the Hua family home, Yunchi practically danced with joy as she held up her newly acquired shares. "Oh yeah. 80%. I'm officially loaded now. Nobody's controlling my life ever again," she exclaimed. Hich Chang watched her excitement with a mix of amusement and suspicion. "Are you preparing for the agreement's expiration or something?" he wondered silently. "Do you really like money that much?" he asked aloud, his tone half joking. "Of course. Money I earn myself feels amazing to spend. By the way, thanks for helping out this time. If you ever need anything, just let me know." "I owe you one," she replied with a wink. Hich Chang's lips curled into a mischievous grin. "Well then, let's close the curtains and do something fun," he teased. Rolling her eyes, Yunchi decided, "Fine. I'm in a good mood today. I'll grab Baoyan, and we'll go eat something delicious." "Baoyan? Oh, I sent her back to Huang Ying's place already," Hich Chang replied casually. "What? You sent her back? Why? She clearly didn't want to go." Yunchi retorted, her good mood evaporating in an instant. Hich Chang looked frustrated. Bao Yan is my sister, what does she have to do with you? Yunqi froze at his response, speechless. Wait a second. I'm your wife, and yet your sister has nothing to do with me? She felt the anger bubbling inside her and wanted to scream, you selfish jerk. Fine, from now on, don't expect me to care about anything that concerns you. After their argument, Yunqi called up her friend Yuan Yuan and headed to a bar to vent. We were just starting to get along, and now we're back to square one. Yuan Yuan couldn't help but ask, I don't get it, why do you feel like you have to go up against Hich Chang just because of his stepmom? She looked frustrated and muttered, forget it, don't even mention Hua the dog to me again. I don't care what he does anymore. At the bar, Yunqi was determined to let loose. We don't go out often, so tonight, it's all about having fun. Let's get the strongest drink you have. I'm going to knock this chick next to me under the table. The bartender approached with a recommendation. Ladies, how about this? It's called Silent Donkey. Packs quite the punch. Without hesitation, Yunqi nodded. Perfect. I'll take that one. While waiting for her drink, she turned to the bartender and asked, Hey, for years ago, there was this handsome guy who worked here with brown hair. Is he around today? You must mean Jason. He left before I started working here, the bartender replied. I've been here for 4 years. Hearing this, Yunqi paused, lost in thought. The timeline matches perfectly. What really happened back then? The bartender interrupted her musings. Miss, I recommend you sip this drink, it's way stronger than it looks. But Yunqi, ever the risk taker, grabbed the glass and downed it in one gulp. Barely a second later, she wobbled and collapsed onto the bar with a loud thud, leaving Yuan Yuan panicked. Yunqi. Are you okay? Wake up. Yuan Yuan shook her voice laced with worry. Yunqi's head was spinning as she lay slumped over the bar. Her mind was foggy, and her body refused to move. What's happening? Why am I so dizzy? This stupid drink got me so bad? Unacceptable. Summoning her strength, she cracked her eyes open, and to her shock, she saw Hich Chang walking toward her. You idiot, he muttered, exasperation lacing his voice. Did you seriously forget that you're allergic to alcohol? Yunqi wanted to argue, to say something, but her lips wouldn't form the words. All she could do was glare at him helplessly.